I woke up and immediately realized something was different. What the? The room looks so different. Is this even the same room? My costume is here at least. Yay. I just finished changing when Eric's announcement tone played. Now maybe we'll get some answers. Instead of Eric's voice, only static could be heard. I wonder if there's something wrong with this thing. The static just kept getting louder before abruptly cutting off to be replaced with his announcement tone. So much for that. Guess I'll head to the team room. I opened the door, only to freeze. What the? It's all different out here, too? What happened last night? I looked around to see if there was some sort of clue or servant around, but there was no one in sight. There's usually always someone around. If I just keep looking, I'm bound to run into someone. My mind made up, I took off down the corridor. I let out a sigh of relief when I rounded a corner to see Mr. Wolf there. He was pacing up and down and mumbling to himself, but I couldn't make out what he was saying. Hey, Mr. Wolf! He practically leaped into the air at the sound of my voice.
Miss Archer, is that you?
Yeah. Do you have any idea what happened last night?
None. I've been looking for the others, but this place is deserted.
Maybe. But knowing Eric, this is probably part of the game. So the others should be here. Somewhere.
You're right. I'd almost given up on finding anyone when you found me.
Should we split up, or...?
No! I mean, if we split up, we might lose each other.
Good point. Suddenly, the lights flickered before plunging us into darkness.
Miss Archer, you're still there, right?
Yeah, I'm right here. I cut my sentence short when I felt something brush against my chest. I lashed out instinctively just as the lights came back on. Mr. Wolf? What were you doing? He was doubled over, clutching his stomach in pain.
Trying to find you in the dark. I certainly found you, all right.
I am so sorry. I didn't mean to.
You didn't mean to punch me?
It wasn't my fault. You copped to feel first.
Cop to... what?
He suddenly burst into a fit of painful coughs. I quickly rushed to his side. Are you okay? Oh God, we need a doctor. I'm so sorry. Mira always did complain that I have too mean a punch.
I'm fine.
Even as he said that, he started coughing again. That's not reassuring at all. I placed his arms around my shoulder to try and support him.
What are you...
We're going to find our way out of here and get you to a doctor.
No, I'm fine.
He quickly pulled away and clutched his stomach with a grimace.
This is nothing. You're not the only one who knows self-defense. I've been hit harder.
Okay, fine. But I'm at least going to hold your arm in case the lights go off again.
Okay.
I linked my arm around his and looked up at his face. When we get out of here, I swear I'll make it up to you. Promise. A sudden clatter had us starting.
What was that?
Only one way to find out. We cautiously made our way to the source of the sound. We both froze in shock at the scene in front of us. I could feel Mr. Wolf's arm squeezed tightly around mine and looked up to see his face drained of blood. Mr. Wolf? He didn't respond. He just kept staring at the wall. Tyler? I clasped his face with both hands. Just look at me, Tyler. None of this is real. It's just a part of Eric's game. He blinked slowly, and I could see some color slowly returning to his face. He ducked his head and leaned into my hand. I had to strain my ears to catch it when he spoke.
Thank you.
Closing his eyes, he moved his face towards mine until our foreheads touched lightly.
Thank you. How do you always say what I need to hear?
Damn, that kid is gutless. It was the perfect opportunity to kiss her.
Perhaps he was taking his time and you just ruined the moment. Not everyone just suddenly goes in for a kiss. Besides, this is hardly the perfect atmosphere. The smell alone is atrocious.
We both quickly jumped away from one another.
Sorry to interrupt you two lovebirds, but we've got a game to win.
Must you always be so tactless? I'm sorry, but you must excuse our Mr. Heartless over there. They must have thrown his heart away as well as his brain during his embalming.
Mr. Wolf looked as if he wanted to hide under a rock at that point. Mr. Bandages, however, completely ignored all of us as he walked through the bloodied corridor to get a closer look at the blood-stained message on the wall. I cringed at the sloshing of his feet over the entrails.
Eric's certainly outdone himself this time. For once, something in this Halloween event is more creepy than corny.
Are you going to tell us what you're looking at, or just stay there and enjoy the smell?
Hey, the message is a little smeared, alright? And the writing itself is really untidy. I'm trying to figure the words out right now.
He scanned the words before making a rude sound.
There's nothing useful here.
What does it say, though?
I'll hide something, seek. Find something before I something first. Something last, something fails we shall, something for all something.
That is completely useless. Are you sure you're reading it right?
You're welcome to try if you think you can do better.
The Count grimaced as he walked toward the wall.
Great. I'm going to have to throw these shoes out after this. E.T. blank blank N blank T.Y. An eternity.
Not much use, were you?
Well, that could be pay or play. I'm not sure if that's a smear or an L.
Still not helpful.
The sound of childish singing bounced off the walls, seemingly coming from everywhere at once. The lights began to flicker, and I felt Mr. Wolf grab my hand. As the singing faded, the lights stopped flickering.
Oh, that was something.
Nothing more than a cheap trick to scare us.
Well, it must have worked considering how close you are to me all of a sudden. Or don't tell me, you've actually fallen for me as well.
You're full of yourself.
They made their way back over to us.
Well, anyway, that clue's of no help. I came from that corridor and there was nothing out of the ordinary. Perhaps we should continue along the left path until we find more clues.
Yeah, probably best to leave this area as quickly as we can. Let's hope Eric's second clue makes more sense. We all headed off together, keeping a lookout for anything that might give us a hint as to what we were supposed to be doing. After a few minutes of walking, the lights began flickering again.
Keep moving, it's just a trick.
As he said that, we saw a flickering blue light in the middle of the corridor. Mr. Wolf's grip on my hand tightened as he suddenly stopped. I turned to face him, but he was staring at something straight ahead. The singing started up once again as my eyes darted to see what had caught his attention. Is that?
A child.
The child pointed at us and mouthed something silently. Does anyone know how to lip read?
Regrettably, it is not one of my skills.
Mr. Bandages? We turned to face him, but he was gone. Mr. Bandages? Where are you? If you're playing a joke, it isn't funny. The singing abruptly stopped. I spun around to see that the child had disappeared as well.
He was right behind me.
The Count started to walk down the hallway to look for Mr. Bandages.
He can't have gone.
What is it?
It's nothing. I just stepped on something.
He leaned down to pick the item off the ground.
This may actually be an improvement.
The Count walked back to show us what he found. He held out a blood-covered doll of Mr. Bandages.
I accidentally got blood on it from my shoes, but all in all, Mr. Bandages that can't talk back is an improvement.
Wait, what's this? I pulled a folded-up piece of paper from within the doll's bandages. I unfolded it to find a message scrawled in blood. Find me.
Oh my god! She took Mr. Bandages!
Who took?
The ghost girl. This always happens in movies.
I'd hardly say always.
Does this mean we have to find him?
It seems that way. I wonder if this is our second clue.
Either way, we should probably keep moving. We're not going to solve anything by standing in the middle of this corridor. We kept walking until we came to a set of doors. We should probably check out whatever's behind this door.
But what if it's a trap? What if she's waiting for us in there?
Don't worry, I'll check it out.
He pushed the door open cautiously.
It looks like a normal room, I guess. Decor is unusual, but still, I'll check to see if there's anything interesting. Doesn't really look like it, though.
He walked into the room and the door slammed shut behind him.
Oh shit!
Mr. Wolf and I grabbed the door handle and started rattling it, but the door wouldn't budge. The lights started to flicker, and the ominous singing rose up once again.
She's going after Count! Count, can you hear me? Are you still there?
A moment passed, but the Count didn't respond.
Shit. Okay, step back. I'm knocking the door down.
I moved away from the door as Mr. Wolf made his first attempt. The impact caused the door to shake, but it held fast. He tried again with the same results.
Damn it! What's this door made of?
He was about to try for a third time when it suddenly creaked open by itself as the singing faded. Mr. Wolf looked towards the door, then towards me before offering his hand.
If the ghost is picking us off one by one, then we can't let go for a single moment.
Right. We slowly made our way inside the room. Just as we thought, the Count was no longer there. We scanned the room and found Count's cape lying on the floor. It looks like there's something under there.
Yeah.
We moved closer to the cape, eyeing the strange lump beneath it dubiously. Mr. Wolf shakily reached for it, but I batted his hand away and picked it up instead to reveal a doll of the Count and a doll of Mr. Bandages. I quickly threw the cape to the side when I noticed how wet it felt. I looked at my hands to see them stained red.
Is that the same Mr. Bandages doll from earlier?
I'm not sure, but it might be. Count was the one carrying it, after all. Mr. Wolf reached out to pick them up, but I stopped him. Let me. My hand is already a mess.
Okay. Do you think this one has a note too?
Only one way to find out. I picked up both of the dolls before looking them over carefully. The Count doll has a folded paper in his waistcoat. Mr. Wolf pulled the paper out,
Gross.
careful not to get any of the blood on his costume. He carefully unfolded it before showing it to me. Find me. Again.
Wait, why does it still say me? There's two of them now. Shouldn't it be us?
Well, maybe. It's not to find them, but...
To find her?
yeah.
Then I guess we should get started.
We searched the room for any clues or exits other than the one we used to enter, but found nothing. I don't get it. How did they get the Count out of here?
Maybe they didn't.
Well, I don't see him anywhere.
Maybe they aren't just dolls. Maybe she turned them into dolls.
You've watched way too many horror movies.
Yeah. Well, we should get moving. If there's one thing I know from horror movies, it's that staying in one place too long is a sure way to get found.
Yeah. Either way, it looks like we've only got a few more chances to find her. We've already lost Count and Mr. Bandages. I think it's game over if we're all caught before we find her.
Come on, let's go.
Mr. Wolf tightened his grip on my hand and we left the room behind. We cautiously continued down the corridor, keeping an eye out for anything unusual.
I don't like this. Nothing's happened for way too long.
Would you rather the little girl showed up again and snatched one of us?
No, but a long period of nothing usually means something big is going to happen.
True, but we'll be fine if we stick together, right?
Right, I won't let anything happen to you.
I couldn't help but smile at the determination on his face. He was proving himself to be a pretty reliable guy, even if he was scared out of his mind. Mr. Wolf stopped abruptly.
Can you feel that?
I stopped as well, and that's when I noticed it. The ground was shaking slightly.
This isn't good. Let's move faster.
We started walking again, this time much faster than before. The shaking seemed to intensify as well until we needed to lean against the walls just to stay upright. We rounded another corner just in time to see the floor crumble away. We pulled to an abrupt stop.
That was close. If we'd been standing there.
Yeah, I cut myself off when I noticed a figure on the other side of the chasm. Mr. Wolf turned to see what I was staring at and froze. Once again, the singing started up. The girl pointed toward us and started mouthing something. Is she taunting us?
It seems that way. Maybe because we can't get to the other side.
I'll show her. We'll find a way! After a moment, the shaking stopped and we could finally move away from the wall. We need to find something that can get us to the other side.
Well, there's a metal bar across the ceiling in the middle of the room. If we could hook a rope or something onto that, we could probably swing across.
A rope? Wasn't there a rope in the room where the Count disappeared?
I think so.
Damn. We should have grabbed it while we were there.
Are we going back to get it?
Doesn't seem like there's any other way to go forward, so yeah.
Alright, let's make a run for it then. The quicker we get this over with, the better.
Right. We ran back to the room as quickly as we could. Mr. Wolf picked up the rope before looking around for a moment.
Can you see hooks or something around? It would definitely make it easier.
I pointed to some devices suspended from the ceiling. Those look like carabiner hooks holding those things up.
Good eye! Those would be perfect! Now how do we get them down?
Here, give me a boost.
But you're wearing a skirt!
Then don't look? Sheesh. I'd offer to boost you, but I don't think I could lift you high enough.
Right.
Mr. Wolf bent down and hesitantly put his arms around my legs before lifting me up with his eyes clamped shut. I grinned at his actions before reaching for the nearest carabiner. Shoot, it's a little out of my reach. Move a little to the left? Little more. Oh, perfect! I quickly grabbed the carabiner. Got it! His eyes snapped open at my shout. His face got even redder as he quickly averted his eyes. He lowered me back to the ground and took my free hand in his.
You, might want to adjust your skirt?
He was still pointedly looking away. I quickly adjusted my skirt, making sure it covered everything that needed to be covered. You can look now. He turned to me, still blushing furiously.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it. Here, you can attach this to the rope and we can get out of here. I handed him the carabiner and watched him secure the rope to it. We ran back to the room with the chasm. So, how good is your aim?
It's not bad.
Then give it a shot. I let go of his hand and put some distance between us to give him space. His first attempt completely missed the mark and fell into the hole. He quickly pulled the rope back out.
It didn't even hit the bottom. Just how deep is this hole?
Hopefully, we won't find out.
Right.
Mr. Wolf tried again.
Yes!
He managed to hook the carabiner to the rod. He tugged it a few times to check how secure and sturdy it was.
It should hold, but we're gonna have to go one at a time. I don't think the rope can handle both our weights at once. Maybe I should go first. The girl was on the other side last time we saw her, so...
No, I'll do it.
But the girl could be...
I'm lighter. We need to make sure it can handle the weight.
But that's all the more reason for me to go. It's too dangerous.
He wrapped his arms around me and pulled me into a bear hug.
I don't want to risk you getting hurt.
I returned his hug, and for a moment, we just stood there. I could feel his warmth spreading through me, and I smiled as I leaned into him. We've still got to do this. What would Mr. Bandages say if we didn't?
I can tell him to go to hell.
I tried to stifle my laughter, but he must have felt it.
Hey, I was being serious. I'd risk his wrath if it meant keeping you safe.
I pulled back just enough to look up at his face. Mr. Wolf. I lifted a hand to cup his cheek and smiled when he turned to nuzzle it. I'll be fine. We're gonna make it out of this together, but to do that, you're gonna have to let me do this. Alright?
But...
If we don't, you and I can haunt Eric, or that bakery in town, together. Deal?
Deal.
I pulled away from him and took the rope.
Be careful.
You too. I backed away from the hole a bit before taking a running leap to pick up enough momentum to get me across. As I sailed through the air, the lights started flickering again. Shit! The moment my feet hit the ground on the other side, I whirled around to find Mr. Wolf, only to have my fears realized. He was gone. I could just make out a small gray lump on the other side of the chasm. Another doll? The last ones had clues, so I should probably get this one too. I laid the Mr. Bandages and Count dolls down on the ground before swinging back to the other side. Just as I thought, it was the doll of Mr. Wolf. I quickly grabbed it and swung back to the other side. Carrying all three dolls like this will be really inconvenient. Ooh, I know. I quickly emptied my quiver and shoved the Mr. Bandages and Count dolls into it. I turned the Mr. Wolf doll over, looking for the clue, It didn't take me long to find a folded-up note sticking out from under his belt. I quickly pulled it free and unfolded it to find a different message from last time. Mine? Like hell? He is not yours. The light seemed to dim in response to my words. Time to get out of here. I ran through the corridor and came to a large door. I pushed it open cautiously to reveal a room filled with mirrors. I took a step into it only to have the door slam shut behind me. Whirling around, I tried to open the door, but just as I expected, it wouldn't budge. Only one way to go now, I guess. I held the Mr. Wolf doll close for comfort as I walked further into the room. After a moment, I realized something was wrong. These mirrors. They don't show my reflection. Are they really mirrors, then, or just pictures? I was still staring at the mirrors when the lights dimmed again. All right, I'm going. I started to walk again, only to catch sight of something in the mirror. I turned to try and catch a glimpse of it, but it was gone. I continued walking, only to come face to face with the sight of the girl in one of the mirrors. Immediately, I spun around, but the girl wasn't behind me. What the hell? The girl seemed to move from mirror to mirror, almost as if showing me the way. All right, I'm coming. I cautiously followed the trail until I saw yet another ominous-looking door. The girl now occupied every mirror, and in unison they pointed at the door. Do I really have to? A nearby mirror shattered, sounding deafeningly loud in the silence. I'll take that as a yes. I hesitantly pushed the door open. Okay, this doesn't look so bad. Looks kind of like a witch's room or something. There's no other door, so whatever I'm supposed to do should be in this room. A quick survey of the room drew my eyes to a sheet of paper lying on the table. The spell of items lost. To find what you seek, gather these ingredients into the cauldron and stir thrice. That doesn't sound too hard. Let's see, the items are the Bringer of Light, the Keeper of Secrets, Blood of Toad, the Balance of Power, a Flask of Aqua, and Shackles of Flight. Okay, I can do this. I'm trying to be patient, but I really don't have time for silly puzzles or messing around with some Sachiko wannabe. I need to get out of here and find Tyler. He was so scared. I know this is all a game and he's probably safe with the others in the team room by now, but if anyone, besides me, hurt him, they're going to pay. Once all the ingredients were in the cauldron, I stirred it 3 times. It began to bubble strangely and suddenly filled the room with smoke. Just as quick as it appeared, the smoke disappeared to reveal that one of the walls was no longer in place. Well, I've come this far. I made my way over to where the wall used to be and stared down at the dark stairwell it had revealed. Raising my hand against a wall, I slowly began my descent into darkness. The moment my foot touched the last stair, lights flared to life. In the middle of the room laid a single coffin. A tomb. Oh, I see. I hesitantly made my way over to it. On closer inspection, I could make out words scrawled into the coffin. It's been cold and dark for so long. Will I never see the sun? I need to take her into the sunlight? The coffin's bolted to the ground, though. I don't want to open it, but I guess I have no choice. I took firm hold of the edge of the coffin's lid and pushed. I pointedly kept my eyes averted from the coffin's contents until I had fully removed the lid. Then I steeled myself before peering inside. A doll? It looks pretty realistic, but it's definitely a doll. I let out a relieved breath. Carrying around a doll is a lot better than carrying around a rotting body or skeleton. As I lifted the surprisingly light doll into my arms, part of the wall slid away to reveal another set of stairs. I made my way to those stairs and looked up to see light at the other end. Could it be? I quickly made my way up those stairs. A few minutes later, I let out a relieved laugh as I emerged into the warm sunlight. I looked down when I felt the already light doll getting even lighter. What the? The doll had begun to crumble, and before long, there was nothing but dust.
Good job, Miss Archer. The curse has finally been broken. For your efforts in this endeavor, your team shall receive 5 points.
I looked up to see one of the servants standing by a door. Where are Mr. Wolf, Mr. Bandages, and the Count?
They await you inside. If you'll follow me.
I nodded and followed the man. He led me to our team room. I couldn't help but smile at the familiar sight of the 3 of them waiting for me there.
Miss Archer, you were amazing!
I told you we'd make it out all right.
I'm pretty sure you said that you'd make it out together.
Well, it's not entirely wrong. They did make it out, and they are together now.
How do you...
We've been watching.
We were brought here to watch your progress when we were taken.
I'm not gonna lie, when Count was taken after me, I was certain we'd fail.
I'm glad to see that you have that much faith in me. But perhaps you could extend it to the others as well.
Oh please, you saw how the wolf nearly broke down whenever anything happened.
I'm sorry.
You have nothing to be sorry about. You helped me get the carabiner. Without you, I wouldn't have passed that point at all.
He helped himself to...
Mr. Bandages, didn't you want to take a shower?
What?
Or at least change, now that we've seen Miss Archer make it through the task. There's no point in sitting here looking like 2 murder victims.
Good point.
The Count turned to me once Mr. Bandages left the room.
I'd love to say, but I must bid you farewell, my lovely savior. Maybe I can pay you back in some form the next time we meet.
With that, the Count winked and left.
Man, that Count is the best wingman ever.
Eric sure went all out in this challenge, didn't he? I wonder how he got the doll to crumble in the sunlight.
Yeah, that was really cool to watch.
His eyes flicked to the Mr. Wolf doll that I was still holding.
Oh, hey, is that me? Can I look at it?
Sure. I handed him the doll.
This is surprisingly detailed. I wonder if he had dolls of all the guests made.
He probably did. It's not like they were picking us off in a specific order.
Now I wish I'd gotten to see the Miss Archer doll too.
He made to hand it back. Nah, you should keep it. It is a doll of you, after all. I should probably give the other guys theirs later as well.
No, I want you to have it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Alright. Something to remember you by, then. I just wish I had something to give you in return. Oh well. I think I'm going to take a shower. I really want to get this blood off.
Wait, actually, never mind. I should go take a shower too.
I look at him quizzically. For some reason, he seemed a little disheartened. Still, I put it down to the stress of the day. Well, see you later then.
Yeah, later. I wonder if I could ask Mr. Valdemar or one of the servants for the Miss Archer one later.
Let's go!